Everybody experiences adversity, and your reaction to that adversity will create your outcome. It's not the adversity that creates the outcome. It's your reaction to the adversity.
Well said.
That's what I believe.
Yeah. From Wealth Creators USA, this is From Worry to Wealth, the podcast that shatters the myths and mystique surrounding wealth creation. As students, our schools and universities often neglect the crucial education on the core financial principles. I'm Ben Lyons. I'm a business owner, investor, entrepreneur, and author, and I'm joined by my business partner, Alex Fink. And together, we're here to inspire your journey towards improving your financial self. In a world buzzing with advice on the behaviors and mindset to become wealthy, we'll share proven processes tried and tested by our network of successful collaborators. So get ready to move past worry and move towards wealth and your improved financial self. Hey, welcome back to another podcast episode of From Worry to Wealth. And I'm here with, you know who I'm here with? I'm here with Alex Fink.
In the flesh.
The Alex Fink. I can't come up with anything more clever than the Alex Fink.
Okay.
Isn't that like the Ohio State? Oh, you don't watch college football. Okay, right.
Not so much. No.
Isn't that something how they do that, right, Matt? They go
Only so I
Ohio
don't
State.
make you mad with how much time I'm wasting.
That's
watching
right.
television.
Make sure you invest your time
Trying to
properly.
apply my time properly.
Yeah, so we are co-host here of From Worry to Wealth, all right? Just to remind everybody, it's about this book. Of course, everybody's listening, so I'm holding up a book called From Worry to Wealth, right? And in this podcast episode, we're going to do something really crazy, probably for me, because I may need therapy after this. We're going to talk about an event, the worst financial event of my life. Now, you can say our lives because you were part of it. But really, it had a pretty profound impact. Sometimes talking about events that happen or that are painful is good,
Right.
but I have found that people enjoyed these stories.
So we're hoping that events like this and sharing these stories will help other people not make similar mistakes, I would think, right?
We're hoping that telling stories in business about what not to do, because I certainly am going to advise everybody to not do what I did.
Yes.
But I live to tell about it, and I think those listeners and viewers might find this somewhat interesting.
For sure.
Maybe even fascinating.
Yeah.
So let's give some background here, and Alex, you and I'll talk it through, and so that it's a dialogue, not a monologue. But I probably will leave out some names, right, for legal purposes, perhaps.
I think that's smart.
Yeah. So in 2006...
To protect the guilty or to
protect the guilty.
Okay.
So in 2006, 7, and 8, I provided capital through my lending company to a builder who had excellent credit, financials, always borrowed money, paid it back, built houses in Baltimore County, Carroll County, Baltimore City. It was a great relationship, worked great. One day, this guy calls me up and says, I've got this apartment building project, and I need some help, and can I talk to you about it? So he comes to my office. Summer of 2009, he brings a guy with him who he said was his brother. His brother. Introduced this guy as his brother. Okay, I don't check ID at that time.
Right. Well, you had a relationship with this guy for a long. How long was your relationship with this builder?
3-4 years.
3-4 years. Yeah, it's a long time. No reason for you to.
No reason.
Leave other
Nope. I knew the guy's financials, had his tax returns. I knew his credit report. I knew everything.
Right.
They proceed to tell me about a deal where they needed about $3.3 million from me because they needed liquidity for a $30 million apartment building deal in York, Pennsylvania. And York happened to have only been about 40 minutes from my house.
Right.
Gave me all these papers. I went, I'll let you know, I don't provide liquidity. I do first mortgages. They said, well, this is a great deal. We'll pay you $1 million for the use of the money for 6 months. And by the way, you can have that money held with our attorney. Won't even be out of your name. It'll be
60+%
It'll be in a trust account in your company's name,
right.
and we'll pay you $1 million.
So let's stop right there. So what they're offering is to pay you a 60+% return, which may sound a little
Yeah,
too good to be true,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a higher return because that was only 6 months, right? So it was, yeah.
Well,
You're right. You're right.
Yeah, it's
On
a little,
three, yeah,
it's like 60%,
right?
7%, yeah.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So I drive to York, Pennsylvania, with plans.
60% return is a pretty good return on
Yeah.
money. Yeah. Okay. Keep going.
I look at this property, and it happened to have been a vacant high school. It was the county was selling it. It was a vacant high school, and they were going to convert it into an apartment complex. Looked legit. Had all kinds of papers, appraisals, and there was a loan approval for $30 million from an insurance company in California.
Ah,
I had a file as thick as could be.
yeah.
So here's a guy I successfully lent money to, asking me to borrow money, where the money's going to be held by an attorney, and I'll get to the attorney in a second. And it wasn't a loan. He just needed to show liquidity. He didn't have enough liquidity.
What's the risk? What could be
What
the
could
risk?
go wrong?
What could go wrong?
So I called my attorney, and the guy's not alive anymore. His name was Don, and this guy had been my attorney for 20 years. And I said, Don, here's what's being asked. Can you find out exactly what could go wrong and investigate this attorney? And this attorney happened to be a Baltimore County practicing attorney for 25 years. His kids went to the finest private schools. He was the neighbor of another one of my friends that was an attorney. So lived in the same neighborhood. He was an upstanding member of community, known by his peers. The account was going to be held in my company's name with only me as the signer, but it was going to qualify. So I said, well, wait a minute. How can my money qualify with this insurance company? So I called the underwriter for the insurance company, the document that was the commitment letter, and I called the guy. He addressed himself as the underwriter for the insurance company, and I said, how can my money qualify as liquidity for this builder? He said, we're going to allow it because we know that this guy has access to it if he needs it, but we're going to allow your money to qualify. That makes no sense.
Looking back, any red flags with the call with the underwriter? Did you feel like the underwriter was competent?
The underwriter was a 60-year-old, competent sounding human being.
Okay.
And by the
no
way,
red flags talking to him.
And by the way, the chief counsel, the general counsel for the insurance company, also wrote a letter verifying this. And I spoke to him too.
Legitimate insurance company?
A licensed real insurance company.
Right.
I went on the insurance commission. I got documents.
Yeah.
Verified the insurance company.
Yeah.
So much due diligence was done. They were in Newport Beach, California. Guess what I did? I flew to Newport Beach, California to meet with them.
Yeah.
I met with general counsel and head of underwriting.
At the insurance company headquarters.
At the insurance company headquarters.
Yeah, nice.
Looked real to me.
Yeah.
I said to my attorney, what could possibly go wrong? And he said, well, the attorney could steal your money.
Right.
Okay, let's get a theft insurance policy then on him. So we got a theft insurance policy for $6 million on him.
Yep.
Okay, great. We've covered the bases. Close the deal September 15th, 2009. I happened to have been in the Bandon Dunes golf course playing golf on a golf trip. I remember the fact that this was really inconvenience to me, focusing on that. What a waste of time that was.
I have a question. If the money's in your name, did they? I assume they chose the bank.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Did you try to change that approach and put the money in one of your banks?
Well, we first said then we want to hold the money.
Right.
And they said that won't qualify for the insurance company. It has to be held by the attorney as a fiduciary.
Got it.
Even though the account could be in my name.
It's a believable request. Yep.
Okay, so we wired.
So this was the attorney how was the attorney involved? He was the custodian?
The attorney was supposed to be, it was XYZ attorney,
Right.
for the benefit of my company, and he was trustee.
He was okay. So he was yeah, got it.
Okay? And he signed a trust document that says he's not allowed to touch the money
Of course.
without my approval.
Nice.
So September 15th, we wire $3.3 million in. Okay?
Yep.
Stupidly, they had 3 other real estate deals, all documented the same way, right behind it. Right behind it.
Mm-hmm.
The 3.3 ended up being 6.1 in a matter of 6 months.
Meaning you added to that position?
We added.
Got it.
Mistake number 2.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. You're not going to pass out at this point or burst into flames, right?
I'm okay.
Okay.
I'm okay.
So triggering conversation.
The money for the first 3.3 million was due to be repaid within 6 months, because they were going to close. The insurance company was going to close on the loan,
For sure. Pay the money back.
and the money would be released. Didn't happen. Red flag starts to go up. My attorney starts to create demands. What is going on? What is going on? Hey, we just need more time. We need more time. Every month, need more time. Meanwhile, they're sending me bank statements,
The attorney is.
the attorney,
Okay.
from a well-known bank, one of the largest in the country, showing the money in there. And by then, it was all consolidated. It was an account that showed $7 million. So the 6.1 plus the million, they said the million was sitting in there. July 25th of 2010, their attorney confesses, after we put a lot of pressure, saying we're going in and getting control of the bank account. He confesses. He calls my lawyer and says, money is all gone. I've stolen it.
That's exactly what he said?
Yes. He said, the money is all gone. I've stolen it. So then what happened is my friend lawyer.
So the trustee for the account called and said, I actually stole the money.
Yes.
Okay. That must have been an interesting phone call.
So what he did
for you to
was,
see.
what actually happened when we did the forensics,
Yeah, they took the money out right away.
they took
right?
the money out the next day
Yeah, that makes sense.
in all cases.
Yeah.
And it was all one big fraud. And I
So the statements you were getting, were they actually produced by the bank or no?
no, they were fake fraud.
They were fake. So
Everything was fraud.
the attorney doctored them up.
Everything. This story could be hours and hours and hours, but the details are they did this to 5 total companies for $22 million.
Wow.
They all went to jail. I was
Well, are they in jail now?
no, they're all out.
They're all out.
They're
Okay.
all out. They got light sentences from my perspective. The most egregious guy was the supposed brother, and the brother was not the brother. They said he was the brother, but he was just some guy, a crook. He was the mastermind.
Got it.
And that guy got 15 years in federal. Everybody else got 3 to 5 years. So there were 2
So the
attorneys.
builder that you loaned money to,
It was
he went away.
the builder, the brother of the builder that wasn't the
It
brother,
wasn't the brother, yeah.
the attorney in Baltimore County.
So was this guy a criminal all his life too, or did he just get
No,
interesting?
yeah. And in another episode, we can talk about what happened there. And also, the 2 people from the insurance company ran on it. They all went to jail.
Those people went to jail too. The
attorney,
underwriter and
the underwriter and the general counsel,
counsel.
they were all in on the fraud.
wow.
It was an orchestrated fraud.
Yeah, that's impressive. It's
And
kind of impressive.
it's a very impressive. The reason nobody caught it is because
Because they did a good job.
they did a great job. And
So Ben, knowing what you know now, what advice do you have for those listening?
well, the advice very specifically is I was a real estate lender, meaning I made loans only secured by real estate. And in this case, it was a loan that was secured by a trust account, which is unsecured. What's it secured by? Once the money's out of your possession, at least a mortgage, you have a legal document against a piece of real estate.
Right, recorded. legal
recorded.
Yeah.
This was an unsecured.
Publicly recorded, yeah.
Yeah. So, and you have
And
title
you didn't
insurance.
have access to the account either.
That's right.
So I could think of a couple lessons, right? One lesson is it seems as though you strayed from your core competency and got ahead of yourself on your ability to underwrite a deal. You mentioned no collateral, right?
That's right.
Although the cash was there, it's a tough one. Is there anything else that you look back on? For example,
If it sounds too good to be true, it is.
okay, that's where I was going. And then you believe that, obviously, right?
Yeah, you have to examine that. Up until this time, my career was nothing but up.
Right.
I'd never known pain and suffering in our business world. I'd never made a major mistake.
Right.
I made a few minor mistakes. But trust, belief, honesty, shaking people's hand, attorneys.
That you knew in the neighborhood, ability that you knew. I mean, it's a pretty impressive fraud.
But it all goes away now. And, we have plenty of time here on this podcast, but there's a few things I want to mention. In one of the previous episodes, you and I talked about your execution of Proficio Bank and how you built this. And we tried to buy all the, take over the bank and buy
Right.
shares. Well, so what had happened was this was the worst event of my life because the $6.1 million was funded partly by you, right? You and your,
Yeah,
and
that's
I
right.
think your dad put up $1 million, and a lot of friends put up money. I had a significant investment in there, and I felt absolutely mortified and horrible because I knew that under my watch I couldn't let people lose money, and I basically went and paid as many people back as I could, as you know.
Yeah, you used your own money.
Yeah.
And used that money to pay people back, which I think could have been done a little bit differently, but it was, you did a great thing.
Well, in hindsight, I shouldn't have paid anybody back.
And I was the only one in my family that had money, and so nobody else, just me. I don't think my dad was.
Well, in hindsight, I think what I should have done is said to everybody, sorry, taken all that money instead of paying everybody back. I would have just invested it, and then over time that.
Good, paid him back, yeah.
But the thing I like to tell about this story is, so this event is like the worst event of my life. I had almost impossible time communicating to people. I could no longer communicate with people because I was just devastated. And I all my kids were in a private school, Gerstel Academy, and I was spending about $100,000 in tuition. And I went to the head of the school and said, "Hey, I can't pay you. I just had this horrible event. I've got to figure out how to recover from this." It was just devastating. And that was right when we were trying to take over and buy Proficio stock. And we needed a lot of money to buy all this stock. And while we were making a lot of money at the time at Proficio, I went back to this guy about 4 or 5 months later and said, "Hey, I know my last meeting I said to you, I don't even know how I'm going to be able to pay the tuition. But by the way, do you want to invest? We're trying to buy this bank. We need $10 million. He said, "Well, I'm not gonna buy the bank that I don't know anything about, but I'll lend you and your wife $1 million if you want." So I went home to my wife with these documents, and the payments were about $53,000 and change.
Short term, yeah.
It was a short-term loan, and she said, "Are you out of your effing mind? We just had this horrible event. You're draining all of our liquidity to pay all these people back. You've eroded our net worth because."
And a lot of people would just go into depression, stay in their house, be ashamed to even see anybody, focus on all the negative things they hear. While this massive event was going on, you were still working on other opportunities.
Yeah,
that's an impressive
And
thing.
I just thought of something, and I want all of our listeners and viewers to hear this, because I want everybody to hear how the conversation went with Alex. It was Friday night. So it was Friday night that I found this out, that all his money was gone. And I can tell you right now exactly where I was standing when I called you. I was standing outside of my driveway. It was summer. And I said, "Alex, I've got terrible news, terrible news. maybe, I don't know if you remember the conversation.
The phone call. Yeah.
I said, you're never going to believe this, but all that money was stolen. And I think he said, like, all what money? And I said, that escrow money, that.
Yeah, I think I had $1 million or something.
Yeah, I said, your $1 million was stolen.
Right.
And you laughed. You just started laughing.
Yeah, it was funny.
Meanwhile, it's the worst, event of my life, and you're laughing.
Well, you enjoyed my laughter a little bit.
And I'm thinking, Alex, you're laughing. This is horrible. He goes, yeah, Ben, it's not good, but you'll make it back.
Yeah.
That's what you said. And you said, just come up with a plan to make it all back.
Yeah.
And this was Friday. And I remember presenting to you a plan on Sunday. I said, Alex, I got a plan.
Right. Nice.
If we can build this mortgage operation
right.
to this size, it'll throw off enough revenue where I can fill this hole back in.
Right.
You said, then let's do it.
Yep.
Nobody else laughed like that and reacted like that. Right. And that's a true story. For those listening, perseverance is an important thing, and attitude is critical here.
When you get knocked down, you got to get back up and keep going.
A big shot is just a little shot that keeps on shooting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, that's right.
So what ended up happening was I did borrow that $1 million, and I had the ability to make those payments, and I paid that guy back. I don't want to use his name on this podcast, but he was kind enough to lend me the money.
Yeah, that's impressive.
And we went on to really kill it.
We did.
And these guys all went to jail. And the moral of the story is I didn't die, learned a valuable lesson. I wish I didn't learn this lesson.
It would have been nice not to have to learn it, but it was a nice lesson. Yeah.
Yeah, so when people say, well, did you go to college and did you pay for your education? I said, I probably paid more than most people for their education.
I agree with that.
But, this is a story my old assistant Denise used to say, you got to write a book about this entire story, because nobody gets killed like that and just puts themselves at risk and recovers. But it's a good story in perseverance, right?
It sure is. Yeah.
So what's the takeaway before we wrap up this podcast episode? What's the takeaway?
Well, I think one takeaway certainly is, if things seem too good to be true, they probably are. So that's certainly one takeaway. What do you?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You mean like 60% return?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then of course, everybody experiences adversity, and your reaction to that adversity will create your outcome. It's not the adversity that creates the outcome. It's your reaction to the adversity.
Well said.
That's what I believe.
Yeah, that is very true. Thank you for keeping me positive and on track. Pretty good thing. And the lesson here is keep a positive attitude. Don't lend money or don't put money out unsecured. If it is too good to be true, it is. Right.
And when you take your hits, you just get back up and keep trying until you get your wins.
Get back on the horse.
Yep.
But that's really what our lesson is today. And hopefully those of you listening understand that Alex and I have been very successful in our life. But I think 2008 or 2007 probably wasn't great to you, right?
Correct.
That was a tough time. And 2010, when this event happened, it was probably the highlight of my oh shit problems. And so it's all what you do about the problems that really make the individual.
Right.
All right. So with that, thanks to everybody for listening to this story. I hope you all feel sorry for me. At a minimum, feel sorry for me.
Sounds reasonable to me.
But just know the life lessons. I didn't die, and I've lived to fight another day. So with that, we'll see you in the next podcast episode.
See you.